guess first question, just starting off, when did you realize you were creative, like an artist?
Mm. Well, the thing is, I thought I wasn't. Like growing up, I
Mm-hmm.
had an older brother who's like a really good sketch artist, and I used to compare myself to him, and I was like, man, I suck. So from a young age, I just stopped drawing
Yeah.
because I thought I was trash. I took art school or art class in high school, just one semester, and I was like,
Yeah.
again, just like, man, I can't find my thing. Like, I guess this isn't my thing. I'll just focus on snowboarding. And it wasn't until like 2017 that I applied for like an apprenticeship for like a stone carving at a stone carving studio.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 3 month apprenticeship. I got the job. I did it for 3 months, made these tiny little sculptures of like little Inuksuks.
Yeah.
And from then on, I was like, whoa, I guess I can do this. It's fun. It's different. It's not at all the same as drawing, it's not
No.
the fine motor skills. And you're kind of like creating depth through dimension in 3D and sculpture. So I kind of picked that up and I was like, whoa, this is definitely my jam as far as like a creative outlet. And
Yeah.
after my first year of carving, I was like, dude, if I can make a three-dimensional thing, I must be able to paint. Like it's different,
Yeah.
but I felt like a lot of the skills of like understanding composition and lighting and shading and dimension would translate. And so
Yeah.
I started on that journey too. In 2018, I just bought canvas and acrylic paint and just went for it. And yeah, haven't looked back since.
Wow. So you started carving before you started painting.
Hmm.
That is, yeah. That's a leeway I didn't see coming at all. Like carving to paint. I feel like it would be like an inverse painting to carving, but that's pretty cool.
For sure. Same. I know.
Yeah.
The carving was just like, for some reason, I think it was just like a slow entry, and there
Yeah.
wasn't really so much to compare it to.
Mhm.
There was other artists in the studio that were like carving life-size polar bears and other stuff, which was really like cool to see, but nothing
Yeah.
seemed like too far out of reach in terms of like how I could get to that level. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this is cool. I can like make my own things, and it doesn't have to be like perfect to
Yeah.
detail. It's stone. It's beautiful as it is. So if you just like cut it into cool shape, polish it, it's like gonna be a beautiful thing anyway. So it's a good
Exactly.
entry.
Wow. And as you're carving a piece, what is something you feel as you doing this? Because I'm more so trying to get a point of view from how you feel as you're creating this piece by itself and stuff like that.
I feel like a kid again, I kind of honestly, because like for one, there's like the stone is so cool. So
Yeah.
I'm like finding all these cool rocks that are like made for carving that I didn't really hadn't really seen before. So and as you're carving, you're kind of like bringing about new details in the rock and texture in the stone. And it's kind of this discovery of
Yeah.
like what's in that rock. And so I feel like, yeah, super like playful and fun. And the shaping process is like very engaging, stimulating. And you're just
Mm.
like, you're not thinking about anything else. You got goggles on, you got a face mask, you got ear protection. And so you're in your own little world and
Yeah.
it's just you and this rock and you're just like going at it. And like hours will pass and then you're like, oh my God, I really have to pee and you'll stop. But and
Yeah.
like it's a good flow state. So like I that's the thing that I think I love about it the most. And then yeah, after the shaping, when you start polishing, it's a little bit more tedious where you're like
Mhm.
all the shapes you made, you have to go over it again and again
Yeah.
and again and again. But that's where the labor comes in. You just stick to it and get it done. But
That's beautiful, man. And I guess that flow state, does that kind of carry over into your snowboarding as well?
yeah, I think just like being able to tap into that, I think like elite athletes. I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
consider myself an elite athlete. I'm an athlete maybe, but I'm not doing Olympics. I'm not doing 1800s. So I think like
Mhm.
they do a lot of that, a lot of
Yeah.
practice and ways to like how to tap into your flow state so you can just like go there, flip of the
Yeah.
switch. So I think it is good like mental practice to just keep that. tool pretty sharp and be able to like lock in when you need to. So
Mm,
yeah, it's a good like off-season balance for sure.
yeah. And when you go to create a new piece specifically for carving, how do you go about knowing what you're going to create? Is it something you know beforehand, or you kind of just start the process, and as you go along, you make it up along the way?
Well, I am maybe a little bit different in the way that I like find the rock first,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like it's not an unlimited resource of stone, so you kind of gotta like find the right stone, and it'll be a certain shape,
Oh,
certain size, and color, hardness,
yeah.
everything about it. So I'll like find the rock first and then be like, what is in there? You know, like what's in that rock and what does it like make me think of that'll bring about the inspiration. So I usually
Yeah.
like let the rock kind of tell me what it wants to be. Like I found this one that was like this,
Yeah.
and I was carving trees forever, and I'd never carved anything else. I just found this rock that was like this, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, that could be like a fern, and
Oh
just the
wow.
way that it was, and then I was able to just use exactly the
Yeah.
shape of the stone and the way that it was, and it like turned out perfectly as this like fern, and I wouldn't have thought of that on my own as a subject, I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
to like carve it, but yeah, I kind of like study the stone, look at it, the color, hardness, because depending on how hard it is too, it'll depict how much detail you can go and
Yeah.
how difficult that's going to be. So yeah, a lot of factors come in, but you get to figure it out. Like you just
Wow.
study the rock and it'll tell you what it wants to be.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So you kind of look at it, and based on how it looks, you have this more silent conversation between you and the rock, in a sense, and we
For
see what
sure, you're
comes
just
about. Yeah.
touching it, turning it, feeling it, being like, okay, what is this thing?
Yeah.
What could it be? What are the like shapes that are already in it that I can use to my advantage? Is there like a point over here?
Yeah.
You know, because you're just getting chunks. You know, I'm not
Mm.
starting from like a cylinder square.
Yeah.
It'll be like an off-shaped chunk, and I'm like, okay, this chunk, what am I going to do with it? Um, but yeah, I kind of it's really similar to snowboarding, at least for
Yeah.
me, is yeah, I'll go in the mountains and find whatever the natural feature is. And then from there, it's like, oh, the way that this hooks left and then right,
Mm.
it's good for a backside spin. So, like,
Yeah.
and based on the amplitude and how much snow and how steep the landing is it a back one or is it like a back seven? Are you going to go cork? Is it poppy? So it's like really similar, like, process of like dissecting the terrain, similar to dissecting the rock. Like, what is it going to be? What's it asking for?
Yeah. Dang, that's so sick. And what is your favorite piece you've created with carving stone or rock?
Honestly, I still think it's like one of my first sculptures. So that first year I started carving, I was making those little ones,
Yeah.
and it was like after my apprenticeship was like 3 months, and then at the end of it, the owner of the gallery and the studio was like, "Yo, if you want to keep carving, you can keep making these little things, and I'll pay you hourly to do it. But if you want to carve your own stuff, like we got stone, we have tools. You can use the
Yeah.
space, and you can sell your work on consignment in the gallery." So
Oh. Whoa.
that kind of gave me a foot in the door of like, okay, shit, like I'm gonna go in. I'm not getting paid to do it, but I can make whatever I want, and
Yeah.
if it's good, he'll sell it in the gallery. And one of the bigger pieces I carved is called Chili Tree.
Yeah.
It was like a maybe 3.5, 4 foot tall uh, marble sculpture of like a snowy tree that was kind of inspired by a late artist that passed away
Mm-hmm.
2 years prior to in that time, and he was like a prolific artist in our area in Whistler, and he would paint the trees in a certain way,
Yeah.
like he would, yeah, just like gradients and a cool use of color and texture. And I was like, oh, if I could bring like that style into a stone, I think it would look really cool. And yeah, I managed to do a decent enough job, and it sold pretty quickly. And that's what gave me the confidence, anyways, to start painting. Was like I carved this thing that was like my own design for the first time. It was heavily inspired by another artist, but it wasn't what someone told me to make. So
Yeah.
once that sold, I was like, oh, I got some extra cash. I'm gonna buy a canvas and all the art supplies to start painting. So Yeah, that one is like really special for me. And yeah, I have one little story about that I could
Yeah,
share.
yeah.
Um, I was finishing it and I was working nonstop. I was living in my truck and I had a deadline because in the same that same time, my grandmother had just passed away back
Mhm.
in Ontario, and I needed to
Mhm.
be home for the funeral, and I was gonna drive, and because I wanted to have my car down there, and so I had a hard deadline to finish this sculpture, and I was working on it, and I wanted to get permission from the family, from the artist that had passed away, that I could call name it after him and kind of dedicate it to him,
Mhm.
and so I got permission and I found out that the anniversary of his passing was going to be like a few days before I had to leave.
Whoa.
And I was just working till midnight every night. I was carving till midnight, 1 in the morning, and trying to get it done. I was like, oh my gosh, just working
Yeah.
10, 12-hour days carving and then just sleeping in my truck, waking up at the studio. Like I was sleeping at the studio, like
Yeah.
it
Real
was
grind.
dedication
Yeah.
to get it done. And I was finishing it, and it was that night, and I didn't realize the date even because I was so in it. And I finished the sculpture, and it was after hours of just being totally locked in. And I pulled out my phone to take a picture, and I took a picture. I was like, "It's done,"
Yeah.
and it was the exact stroke of midnight on the anniversary of his passing.
Whoa.
And I was like, whoa. And it was like that
Yeah.
moment when the tools shut off and it was silent and it was me alone in the dark night studio.
Yeah.
And I was like, a rush of wind just like flew through the studio. And I was like, yo, if that's you, Chili, like,
Dang.
I hope I have your blessing, and I'm stoked that yeah we could like line this up and finish it on time, and yeah I kind of took it as an omen, like okay, maybe he's watching from somewhere and
Mhm.
he's like cool with it and he's he's down. So yeah, that was
That's
a special one
wild.
for sure.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. That's a crazy experience for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then to kind of conclude with the rocks, how can you tell me about the project you did with Dickies, that collaboration you guys did? How did that kind of come about? And how did you end up with the design you made? Because I thought it was so sick, especially with the ad you guys made.
Yeah, that one was it was cool. I mean, I honestly just had a weed gummy and sat by the river and was like with a notebook and I was like, what am I gonna make? Like, what am I gonna do for this? I don't know. There's a million things you could paint on a pair of pants, and
Mhm.
I had been really into like fossils lately and like petroglyphs and stuff like that. And so I was like, maybe I'll just do that. But sitting by the river, I was just like, man, I don't know, something about just like the river rocks, the way they are. I was like, it's kind of
Mhm.
cool as a design. And then I kind of just kept looking at looking at the rocks and just kind of studying them. And I was like, man, it'd be cool to do something that was like it was like in place, it was like right
Yeah.
there. It was almost like a portrait of these rocks in this place,
Mhm.
like maybe less commonly done. So I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. And then maybe you could like camouflage them in. I don't know. And then the wheels just started turning. And then, yeah, from there, I just started writing out a shot list and everything. Like, how am I going to tie this all together? But that was a super fun project. I didn't think it was going to work. I had never painted that subject before, and I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know if I can make it that realistic that it's actually
Mhm.
going to work. So I painted the first pair, and luckily they sent me like a bunch of pairs to in case I
Yeah.
needed a few extras. And the first pair I painted just from like top of my head, just like imagination, and I swear it looked like a bunch of potatoes. I was like, this isn't gonna work.
The potato
Um,
pants.
yeah, so I was like, all right, I need to go to the spot that I want to do it at and like take a photo and like reference it. So it's like
Yeah.
actually proper. Like I got the shading right, I got the lighting because the lighting that was the hardest part is like the exact shade of color and lighting had to be so right. So yeah, once I did that, I was like, all right, I think it's gonna work. And then I finished the pants and we organized the shoot and I hadn't tested it out yet. I hadn't put them with the rocks. So I was like, I don't even know if this is gonna match. But I was like, let's go try. And I had them in my hands and I was like, I don't know. It doesn't look the same. And I threw them
Yeah.
on the ground and they like disappeared. And I was like, oh, thank God. it worked.
That is sick.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was a scary one. It was like a bit of a leap to be like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but
Uh-huh.
let's try it. And it worked out. So
Those
stoked.
those are usually always the sickest projects. Is like I have no idea if it's gonna
Yeah.
do the thing or not, and it definitely worked out. Definitely worked out. Now it leads me into your painting style, specifically with. I want to dive into like the symbols you usually draw on like the North Face pieces and stuff like that. Where do those symbols come from? Is that something you just kind of design and create it in your own regards, or is it like a language that we don't know? Because it looks so cool to me. Because part of me is like, is it a language that he made, or is it just this design and his style?
I mean, I think art is a language in general. I
Yeah,
always kind of saw it that way. Like you might explain it, but I think it's better to, for the seer to have to like try to decipher what it is,
yeah,
and sometimes it's literal, sometimes it's very like this is obvious. And sometimes you're like, what the hell is that? So
yeah.
I think it's fun to like explore that realm a little bit. But essentially where I first got inspiration for that style and that, I guess we could call it a visual language,
Mhm.
um, was actually from the stones that I was carving. It's this one stone called fossil limestone, and it just has all these tiny little fossils in it. Um, and they just make these funny little shapes, and none of it looks like anything particular.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I was like, oh, this is cool. It's like you don't know what it is, but it looks like this is a vertebrae of
Mhm.
something, but it's just these lines in a certain way. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then that kind of led me down the road of like going back into like ancient history of like
Whoa.
petroglyphs and all that stuff. And I was like, man, this is cool too. Like they're, depicting this visual language as well. And they're not using words and just these pictographs of like, you're trying to figure out what they're trying to say in this story through the way that all these figures are put together and placed.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, okay, if I can kind of merge these two worlds together where there is this like abstract essence of like fossils as
Mhm.
well as maybe a little bit of like modern day impressionism of like this is probably a butterfly.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to see what some of the things are, but then some
Yeah.
of them are just like random it seems. But yeah, to me it was just like this notion of like these ancient fossils and kind of telling like a visual story, yeah, without being too literal about it.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, because I love them. As soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, this is Ben's work. I don't want to even see your name first that pops up. I'll just see the work. I'm like, oh, this is definitely Ben.
Oh,
Because
cool.
my favorite piece I would say that you've like customized is that the North Face that big yellow puffer you have.
Oh yeah.
That one's pretty. I like that one. And
Oh,
then
sick.
your board back too with the green
Oh
highlights and
yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty sick. What started that whole process of you editing and making custom pieces for North Face?
I think it's just the dream that they'll make it someday.
Yeah,
And I
that's
was
cool.
like, I'm too impatient to wait for
Yeah.
that to happen. And wheels are in motion, I think, for like something to happen down the road. But it does take years to get, a product in production,
Mhm.
with design teams and stuff. And so for me, I was like, man, I just want it today. And I also want like other people to have it today. I want
Yeah.
to just like put something out there and also add a little flavor. And I had been searching for like what I could paint onto a product that's gonna look good. And some of my other art like behind me, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like you can't really put that. I mean, you could print that on a jacket, but to paint it on a jacket, I don't know if it would have the same appeal. So I was like, maybe
Mhm.
something more simple, that I could like easily apply. So I was, yeah, just exploring a new medium and a new thing to put on stuff that's wearable, usable, it's actionable. It's,
Yeah.
like this painting will end up in a gallery. Someone will buy it privately. It'll live in their house, and it'll be cool for them. They can see it, but I was like stoked on the idea that I could like make something. It's not going to take me 2 weeks to make it,
Yeah.
and someone could just like be running it and like be out doing their fun shit, and
In
also have
action.
this like little extra expression. So
Yeah. What's your favorite piece you've customized so far for specifically with the North Face pieces?
I have one that I just finished the other day.
Yeah.
I haven't released it yet, but it's a cooler. North Face just dropped some coolers, and I just did like a just kind of an abstract design on it, and I think it
Sick.
looks pretty sick. But yeah, I haven't dropped it yet. Hope maybe by the time this comes out,
Yeah.
it'll be out, and I can put some photos in with it or something.
That would be sick. And since we talked about the painting that's behind you, wouldn't it also inspire you to start doing portraits of animals? My favorite is I think it's one with like a baby bear on a
Oh
tree
yeah.
and the background's kind of blurry with the green in the back and stuff like that. I love that. But what inspired you
Cool.
to get into painting these animals and doing portraits for them?
I guess like as I progressed with painting, one of my like main muses became trees as like living in the West Coast,
Mhm.
and growing up in Ontario, like in the Midwest, it's like I had never seen trees like this before. So it was always a shock to me, and I felt like trees weren't getting a lot of love. I was looking around at
Yeah.
all the art galleries and like there'd be trees in the background, but no one was ever like highlighting a tree. So I was like, man, I just want to do like portraits of trees. So I started doing that and I did a lot of tree portraiture for like, I don't know, 4 years maybe, where I was just like fixated on that subject. And I did that. I ran it to the ground, and then at some point I was like, all right, cool. I think I'm like ready to move on. And lately I've been getting really inspired by animals, and like
Yeah.
my fiance got this book. It's like the animal spirit guide book. And
Mhm.
essentially like every time you have an interaction with an animal that was like a little bit profound, a little bit like out of the ordinary, you
Wow.
could like look it up in this book and it would have some like meaning. It's like a horoscope or something.
Yeah.
Um, but for like animal interactions, which I thought was cool because we live in the mountains and there are a lot of animals around, and you do have funny interactions sometimes that you're like, oh, that was weird. Like I've
Yeah.
never like sat with a beaver for 10 minutes and we looked at each other in the eyes, it's like maybe I'll look that up. Like what's the
Yeah.
beaver trying to tell me? um so yeah, I feel like I have this maybe like there's like a deeper like spiritual connection we have to the animals
Mhm.
that I'm kind of trying to like tap into a little bit. And I found that with these portraits, and there's a handful of photographers out there that are shooting these like intimate portraits of animals that I feel like
Yeah.
really captures them. And I just was like, oh, it'd be cool to like bring that onto a new medium and like and see if also a challenge to see if I could paint an animal. I'd never
Yeah.
painted an eyeball before that bear.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I got to learn how to paint eyes. I need to learn how
Yeah.
to paint fur, and all that. And like, so I think for me, it was like a challenge and also just like an interest project. I mean, art's kind of fun in that way. You can go wherever your interest takes you, and it's
Mhm.
pretty free. So yeah, for me, that was just like, I'm interested in this. Let me just dive in and see if I can
That's
make something cool.
That's nice. It's kind of off topic, but do you kind of use that same ethos for living in the sense of I may not know how to do all of it, but I'll just figure it out along the way, or are you kind of in the opposite of that?
No, that's definitely my thing. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's mostly like if you have like an inch to like get you in the direction you want to go,
Hmm.
just that's all you need to do. Because I think
Wow.
it's hard, like as a kid, I didn't grow up near the mountains. I didn't have anyone around me that was skiing or snowboarding or into it at all. And for me to be like, I want to be a pro snowboarder, that's a pretty far-fetched dream. My parents were like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? My grandpa was like, are you crazy? Like, get a job. Like,
Yeah.
snowboarding's not like a job. Like, you can't, like, it's like it was unfathomable growing up on this farm, and it was so far out of our
Y-
cultural,
Yeah.
orb. So yeah, I think just like being like, well, I'm here. I have a little cow pasture hill. There's some hay bales, and I have some like old wood. I could make a drop-in ramp, and I
Yep.
have some like metal chicken feeder troughs. I could like make a rail. So I'm
That's
like,
sick.
I'm good to go. Like I can learn
Yeah.
blunt 270s with this. So I was like, I don't have a mountain. And what I want to do is backcountry, but I was like, I don't
Yeah.
have access to that, but I'll start here. And I think
Wow.
like doing that led me down the road, eventually moved to Whistler. Now I have a snowmobile and I get to go out into the backcountry and and do what I was like dreaming as a kid, but seemed
Yeah.
so far-fetched and seemed like there's no way in hell I would ever get there. But I think just like acknowledging what you have and then using that as much as you can, like utilize the little bits you have, like see what those resources have to offer, because
Hmm.
those are going to take you to the next step. And then all of a sudden a new thing will open up that you didn't know was there, you didn't have access to at the time. And yeah, I think you just got to start going, but all you need is like a little bit.
That's well said right there. I like that. I'm motivated for today for sure. We got about like 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna try
Cool.
to get through a few more questions as much as possible here. Nothing crazy. If it ends, it ends. But yeah, I'll hit you up.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Um,
Sounds good.
yeah. So first question: what project out of all the mediums you've done, what project means the most or has felt the most to your soul, to your being?
Hmm. Deep question though.
Yeah.
um, I think one that just stands out. I mean, it's pretty recent. We did a video project called Halation with the North Face. I think it's been 2 years now. But that one was like kind of a full circle moment for me, and like bringing art and snowboarding to the same platform and to the same like plane. Because
Yeah.
it was years and years and years ago. I was like dreaming about starting. I was dreaming about starting a magazine. I was calling it Soulboarder magazine, and it was
Yeah.
before I had the Soulboarder handle. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. I want to like make a mag that's like art and snowboarding and like bring these two worlds together like big time.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember like a family friend was over for dinner, and she was like, why don't you make the art? And this is before I was making art. And I was like, I'm not an artist.
Oh
I
wow.
can't. And she was like, yeah, you can do anything. And I was like, damn, like, okay. I, at the time, it was still like, no way I would hire out art and somehow bring it together.
Yeah.
Um, but I think over time, obviously it evolved. And then the dream that I had was like bringing snowboarding visually, like a video clip with art in some way. If you could
Yeah.
blend those two together, that was kind of like my vision. And that was like over 10 years ago, I had that. And I had no idea because I wasn't making art at the time.
Mm.
And then so cut to the scene, Halation, Finlay Woods, epic filmmaker from New Zealand, was like had the similar vision and how we could bring together like the snowboarding and the art. And we
Yeah.
just collaborated and we made it happen. And we made this scene where I'm painting the scene, and then it like transitions like seamlessly into me snowboarding down that scene. And I was like, damn, like I've arrived, like we did it, and like
Yeah.
that dream I had 10 years ago when I wasn't even making art, here it is,
Or didn't even feel like an artist.
pardon me.
Or I said, or when you didn't feel like you were an artist.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. I was like, I have no skill. I have no idea. Like, I can't draw. Like, I thought that was not me, And
Wow.
so, yeah, it was cool. It was like, damn it. Like we did it and I did it. And
Hmm.
I didn't think there was any way in hell that I was going to be doing anything artistic at
Yeah.
all. So it was cool.
If you're watching this, that clip is on his Instagram. It's so sick. It is like it does something to me that's so satisfying. I'm just like, every time, just I love that clip. It's cool
Oh
to hear
yeah,
the behind the story of that. So thank you for sharing that.
of course.
Um, and then this is a shorter question, I guess. Out of all
Mhm.
the mediums that you express yourself, what is your favorite one to express yourself with?
It's got to be snowboarding, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, that's just, it feels the best. That's hands
Yeah.
down, for sure. You just use your whole body. That's the
Yeah.
ultimate flow right there. Yeah, that's the shit.
All right. It can't be snowboarding, honestly. And then, what's some advice for younger artists that you would give? Like, imagine you talking to yourself when you just started out to where you are
Mhm.
now.
I think like just touching again of where we were at before is like you don't have to have everything to make it. Like what little you do have
Hmm.
is all you need. And I think it's easy to compare yourself to someone else who maybe has more or is more established. And you're like, man, how am I gonna like get to that level,
Yeah.
or like how come I don't have this big art studio and all these supplies and all these people buying my stuff and whatever it is. But I think like really focusing on what you do have and just maxing that out, like exploit
Yeah.
the shit out of what you have, use what you have until it's broken and busted and fix it and keep going. Um, but yeah, use what you got because it's so easy to compare yourself to others and and just get down in the dumps and be like, man, like I just don't have enough to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but you do. You have everything you need right now and just keep going and do what you can because that's going to open up doors that you didn't know were there. So
Wow. Dang, I needed to hear that. Ooh, that's all right.
I
That's
think we all do. I'm telling
yeah.
myself that too.
Yeah, man. Woo. Okay. Didn't know we were preaching today. And then I think this would be a good question. I feel like a lot of artists, including myself, go through this. What's a project that you almost gave up on during the process of, and how did you get through? How did you persevere all the way through to the finish line?
Ooh, I mean, that's literally every single thing I
Yeah.
make.
Fair.
Because you get to a point, you make the rough outline or whatever, and you're like, oh, I like it, but it's not done. And then you enter into like the finishing stages, the polishing stages, whether it's a
Yeah.
painting or sculpture. It could be a snowboard video, it could be a run when you're halfway down and you're gassed and you're like, man, I'm like, but you gotta like dig deep and follow through and finish it, and it's gonna be the best feeling. I have a sculpture right beside me here. I don't know if it'll be the best light to see it, but this is like
Oh
a
yeah.
snowy tree that
Whoa.
I was carving during the filming of Halation, so it's been
Yeah.
over a year in the making where it's been in the back burner, and I was like, I just got to finish it at some point. It's not a
Yeah.
huge sculpture, I just haven't had the time. So finally I finished it like a week ago, and so yeah, I think no matter what, it's never too late. Even if you put something aside, you can always come back to it. You can always just finish it, and it's the best feeling is when you're done, you have the like closure of like, okay, it's done. I can move on. I can do new things, and
Yeah.
yeah, you just got to persevere, dig deep, and find the drive to just finish.
Never give up. Never.
Yeah, something like that.
Awesome. And then last question, more so for you. When's your next art show? When are you gonna have the
Ooh,
art show again? Yeah.
good question. I'm hoping to do one this fall. I haven't put out the feelers yet, but we have a couple little mini video projects we worked on last year, and
Yeah.
so my goal would be to maybe do like a little like art gallery experience mixed in with the video.
Okay.
So I've been collecting a lot of like North Face stuff and hopefully getting some Yeti stuff here soon. And I'm gonna just paint on a ton of product, and then hopefully do like a little gallery show where we have all the stuff there, and you can buy like a custom 101 cooler or a
Oh.
backpack or whatever it is, and yeah, maybe raise some money for charity. And yeah, that's kind of always my MO is like I want to make some money, but then I also want to, give back. You got to give back for
Yeah.
sure. So, yeah, hopefully this fall for sure, but nothing in
Awesome.
stone yet. But
All right, sweet. And then what's the next big project you're working on? If you can share that, I'm not sure if you can.
I have one that's like it hasn't gotten picked up yet. I've been pitching it for a couple years. Can't really talk about it, but it's super exciting. It's definitely on the lines of like merging art and snowboarding together in like a
Okay.
very cohesive way. And so that's kind of my mission now is like, okay, how can I like blend these two worlds and like just crash them into each other and see what comes about? Because there aren't so many. I know there's a few of us out there. Some of the greats, we got like Jamie Lynn, Forrest
Yep.
Bailey. There's a lot of like really talented snowboarder artists out there. So
Mhm.
I think I just want to keep exploring how much there is to do in bringing those two worlds together and yeah. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but hopefully soon. And until then, I'll just keep creating and keep snowboarding and it'll happen when it should. But yeah, that's kind of like the overall vision and direction is like I just want to bring these two worlds together as much as possible, collaborate with other creative people and yeah.
Awesome. Well, sweet. I think that's pretty much it. Cause you answered a lot of other questions I had naturally, so that was great.
Cool.
But yeah, you do appreciate your time. This is sick. I hope I hope I did good. This is my first time actually doing something like this. So
It
Thank
is
you.
cool. Okay. I was gonna say I was like going through your feed a bit and I was like, man, I haven't seen too many like full on interviews like this. So this is
No.
cool. And, dude, I just want to say too that I appreciate what you're doing. I mean, in our sport, we don't have so many, we don't have a sports center for snowboarding,
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is like important. You're building the hype, you're keeping the energy, and you're like highlighting stuff and like to be able to put your homies on blast like that. It's cool. And I appreciate that you're putting the love and the energy into the sport.
Hey,
And we need that. We need that support, so it's cool. So big
hey.
thanks and respect to you for what you're doing.
Wow. Thank you. I didn't expect that. Appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
Of course. All day.
Sweet. Cool. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for coming on the show. I don't know what this show will be called. We're still in the
Sick.
works of that. But
Just let it
it's
come
just
to you, man. Yeah.
yeah,
Just stare at a rock for a little while and you'll figure it
exactly. I was gonna say it's like I don't know how to make the eyeball, but like I'm just making everything around it for right
There you
now,
go.
and yeah,
Yes.
sweet,
Uh-huh.
cool, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. What do you? This is a random question. What are you about to go eat?
Ooh, probably a smoothie right now. It's like I
That's
haven't had
fire.
breakfast yet. Probably start with that smoothie. And then I might go carve a little bit in the backyard.
Sick.
So, yeah.
This is a solid day. All right,
Yeah,
man.
pretty chill.
Yeah. Later, Ben.
Cool. Thanks, Tyson.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Keep inspiring others and keep producing beautiful art.
Hell yeah, will do.
Yeah.
Much love. Take care. Talk
You
soon.
too. Talk soon.
Peace.